Hi everyone, Leah here from EurekaCrystalBeads.com with another fun beading video for you. Before I get started, just a quick reminder to go check out the rest of our channel, and if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button and notification bell and you'll always know when we're posting new content. Today's project is a really fun earring design, and it utilizes something I haven't shown you before. It's utilizing a technique of chainmail called Byzantine, the Byzantine technique. So we're just going to be doing a little piece of it, but it's going to create this beautiful design in our earring using just jump rings. And what I love about this is that it's a little tricky to do at first. You have to get the hang of it, but once you do, it'll be like riding a bike. You'll never forget how. And it's an earring design that's going to leave your friends asking how in the world you did that. And speaking of world, I have a beautiful 10mm faceted jasper stone at the bottom that kind of looks like the world. And I really love the contrast of this beautiful turquoise color and the sterling silver design we have here. But keep in mind, you can use anything you want at the bottom of this earring, but you do want something at the bottom because the very bottom of this design here is going to be held together a little bit easier by having the weight of a bead hanging off of it. So definitely have a bead in mind, but I personally love the look of the turquoise and the silver. And we do have these on our website, EurekaCrystalBeads.com, along with these jump rings. Now, the next thing I want to just touch upon before I get started are these jump rings. So these are 19 gauge, 5.5mm in size. And what's super special about them is that these are silver filled jump rings. And if you're not sure what silver filled is, it's a great alternative to sterling silver at a price point that you might really like. And if you're wondering, well, what is silver filled? Imagine that you have something that's silver plated, but the plating is a whole lot thicker on something that is silver filled. So unlike an item that's regularly plated, you don't have to worry about the sterling silver plating on this rubbing off over time. It's going to be a lot more durable, but it's at a great price point, and you still have a nice sterling silver content on top of a brass core. So I love these. These are a great price point to use for this earring, especially since you do use a few of them. So if you like this stitch, you can certainly make it longer and make it a bracelet, in which case you're going to want to have a lot of jump rings, so that silver filled option is fantastic. Okay, so let's get started, and I'm going to show you the other items you're going to need. First of all, for our pliers. Now, to do the chainmail aspect of this earring, you're going to need 2 pairs of chain nose pliers. And if you're not familiar with chain nose pliers, they are flat and smooth inside, and they taper to a point. Now, this is very important, and I want to talk briefly about how these differ from flat nose pliers. So flat nose pliers come to a square tip. And while they could work for something like this, having that point there is really going to allow you to get into those jump rings and make this little chainmail piece that it's a little bit more intricate. So that point is really helpful. It's also extremely important that you're using pliers that are smooth inside, like these are. Some pliers you may find in your garage may have ridges inside. So you may see that sort of flat-ish look and a taper, but if you see ridges inside, you don't want to use them, because what they're going to do is they're going to scratch up your jump rings. And really, we're trying to show these jump rings off, so we want them to look beautiful. So 2 pairs of chain nose pliers is what you're going to want. Now, the other pliers we're going to need are a side cutter and round nose pliers. Round nose pliers are kind of like 2 little ice cream cones. There's no flat edges there. This is what's going to create the round shape when we wire wrap our little loop there. And then, of course, our cutters for when we cut our head pin. So the pieces we're going to need here, we're going to need 14 jump rings for each side of the earring. So that's 28 total for the pair. What I have left here is for the other half of the pair I'm going to be making. I have a pair of French style ear wires, and these are also silver filled as well, which we now offer on the website. And I have a lovely 2-inch long ball end head pin. And this, I think, is a really nice way to finish off an earring, because that little ball at the bottom adds just the nicest little touch. And then, of course, I have my second 10mm faceted stone bead here. Okay, so to get started, the easiest thing that you can do is to pre-open your jump rings. You don't have to, but it can be a little tricky to work on your chainmail without them pre-opened, because for a little bit, you're not going to want to put your chainmail down, because it's going to be easier to know where to put your next jump ring if you're able to hold it in your hands and not let it go. Otherwise, sometimes the chainmail piece in the beginning can flip-flop around a little bit, and that can make it a little bit confusing to remember where you left off and what step comes next. So as you can see, I'm just pre-opening my jump rings. And if you've never worked with the jump ring really, it's important to know that you should swivel your jump ring open to the side like this. That's what's going to make it easiest to match back together. You also don't want to open it so much that it's a lot more work to get it to close nicely. And as we start to close them, I'm going to show you a little trick for how I get them to close nice and flush. So you can see I'm opening them up just enough so I could slide a couple of jump rings in there, but not so much that I'm starting to see an S shape out of my jump ring. The more we deform it, the harder it is to form it back again. So I'm just going to get a few of these going, and then we're going to get started on our chainmail earring. Okay, to get started, I'm going to go to a jump ring that's still closed, and I'm going to feed it onto one of my open jump rings, and I'm going to close that open jump ring. Now I'm going to show you the way that you close a jump ring is, first of all, carefully, but you want to rock it back and forth a little bit, and you're going to get your jump ring that much closer together as you rock it. And obviously you want to make sure you don't feel that opening as well as see that opening. Now this jump ring here that was already closed, that I didn't pre-open, sometimes they're open just a little bit, just enough where they don't meet up very well. So just make sure you go back to that one and give that one a little bit of a rock so you get it nice and flush. Now I'm going to take my next jump ring. I'm going to hook this jump ring onto this little chain I've made. So I'll have 3 that are hooked together, but it's not going to stay looking like a chain for long. The reason is because I'm going to take my 4th jump ring, and I'm going to let the middle jump ring fall down. So I have 2 that are together and 1 that's here at the end. So this was the middle jump ring that I put on. And I'm just going to give it a little jump ring right next to it. So the thing to remember with this particular chainmail technique, which again is called Byzantine, is you want to look at your jump rings as having twins. No matter what you do with one jump ring, you will do the same thing with another right next to it. So as you can see here, I have 2 pairs of twins. I have the 2 at the end sitting next to each other, and I have the 2 right here sitting next to each other. Now what I'm going to do is give this pair of twins another pair of twins hanging off of it. So go back to, you can see now why it's so good to have them pre-opened, because I don't have to put my chainmail down to go and open them. So I'm giving this one now its little friend, its little twin right next to it. Though I like the word twin because they're going to look the same and they're going to do the same things. So now I'm going to try to hold this carefully so that way you guys can all see. I now have a little chain that's 3 links long, but each link is 2 jump rings. Now make sure before you keep going that you go back to your jump rings and just make sure that they're perfectly closed. Sometimes you'll even hear a little snap as you get them perfectly flush, and that's great. That's actually a really good sign. Okay. Now, before I keep going, I am going to add the bead at the bottom. This is going to give me more to hold on to, and that's just going to make this that much easier. So let's take a little break from the jump rings here. I'll give you a quick little wire wrapping review. If this goes a little too fast, keep in mind, take a look at our channel. We have a lot of great wire wrapping tutorials that will go a lot more slowly and step by step, but I'll give you a little bit of a review here. I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, grab right above my bead, bend my bead to a 90-degree angle. I'm going to go to my round nose pliers, grab right at that corner, go up and over, shift my pliers out of the way a little bit so I can keep going. You want to see what looks like a lollipop on top of a lollipop stick. You want that loop to look nice and centered. Now all I'm going to do before I wrap this shut is I'm going to go to a bottom set of twins here, just like this, and I'm going to feed them right into this loop that I just made, just like that. Now I can use my chain nose pliers again, and I'm going to grab that loop flat, and I'm going to sandwich it between the jaw of the pliers, and I'm going to wrap it shut. Go nice and slow, that way your wrap is nice and neat. Now I'm going to trim off what's left and use my chain nose pliers to tuck in that little bit that's usually left behind that you can't quite trim off. You can see it right there sticking out. Just nudge that right down so it's out of the way. You have an adorable little wrapped loop. And the great thing about a wrapped loop is, unlike a rolled loop, this won't ever come open on you. So it's a great technique to work on. All right, now Now's where we're going to get a little tricky. You may find that you have to rewind a few times in the video to really get the hang of it, so definitely don't feel bad if you have to do that. Chainmail can be a little tricky until you get the hang of it. So I have this little set of 2 jump rings at the very top. I'm going to split them apart, and I'm going to let them start to fall back. And what I like to do is now go in with my chain nose, and you can see as they split and fell apart, they exposed the previous twins that were right before it. I'm going to grab those twins right across, just like this, and let those fall back, that last set of twins fall back. So this is what you should have here. Okay, so those ones on the outside here, that's the set of twins that you let split apart and fall back to the side. Now, what I like to do is use my thumb and forefinger, and I'm going to hold those 2 jump rings that I let fall back in between my fingers, and I'm going to let go with my pliers. This is the part that gets tricky, and I find it easiest to grab the bead at the bottom, and this is again why it's super helpful to not only have a bead there, but have it on there at this point. And I'm going to slowly pull that bead down, and I'm going to push those 2 jump rings up. So let me point again. These 2 right here are the 2 that we let fall back, and then we push them up to the underside of that pair of jump rings that was in the middle of our 3-link chain. Remember, each link was 2 jump rings. Now for the last part, these 2 that are on the top, I'm going to split these open. If you want to use your pliers, you can do that. You're just going to split them open just like this. And so now right in this little space here, hooking right underneath these 2 jump rings that are going across here like a little bridge, that's where we're going to hook 2 more jump rings, but we'll start with the first one. And now I'm definitely sure you can understand why it's helpful to have them pre-opened, because I don't want to put this down, especially if I'm learning the technique, because it's just going to make it that much harder to pick it up and figure out where I was. So I have my new jump ring here. I'm going to slide it right underneath. Just like that. And you get this really pretty little design there. So before this pops out of my hands, I'm going to close this jump ring. That's going to lock everything into place. But remember what I said about twins. Every jump ring needs a twin. So this jump ring that I just added is going to get one right next to it, going through the same exact spot, right alongside it. And don't worry, you're going to see this one more time because we sort of do a little mirror image of this as we finish up the earring. Okay, now we're going to shut this jump ring. Rock it back and forth a little bit. And at this point, half of our little Byzantine section is finished. All right, so I'm going to pre-open the last few jump rings, and then I will come back to you in a second to show you finishing up. Okay, so to finish up, we're going to go to that pair of jump rings that we last added, and we're going to add 2 more sets of twins to this pair of twins right here. So we're going to add another set of twins to this twins, and another set of twins to then that pair of twins. So go ahead and just feed that right through, just like this. Do another one right next to it. Remember, it's all about the twins. Rock that one closed. Okay, and now we're going to add 1 more set of twins to that set of twins. I have my pre-opened jump rings here to make that a little bit easier. Another thing I like about these silver-filled jump rings is that they're strong enough where they hold closed really well, but they're not so hard that they're difficult to open. So they're a really nice jump ring to use as far as the wear and tear in your hands. It's pretty nice and easy to use. Okay, so now I have those additional sets of twins added. And now I'm going to do the same thing that I did down here, but because of the additional twins I added, it's actually going to be a mirror image. It's going to be the same design, but it's going to be a mirror image of what we see here. So I'm going to take my top 2 twins here, I'm going to split them apart, and I'm going to let them fall back. And the easiest way to do that is to grab the pair of twins right below it. Just let them fall back like this. You can see there they are on either side, right here and right here. Now I'm going to grab them from the outside, and I'm going to sandwich them between my fingers, just like this. And at this point, I'm going to hold everything sort of tight because I'm going to pull my pliers out. And if you grab that bead at the bottom, you can pull down and push those 2 jump rings up to the underside of that top pair, or that now top pair of twins. Now we want to go to that top pair of twins and split them open like this, and then grab our last 2 sets of jump rings and feed them through. Just like that. So now I'm going to close that jump ring. And again, I'm going to give it its twin. I'm going to carefully hold it so that way it stays pretty in shape in my fingertips here. I'm going to give it its twin right next to it. Sometimes it can be a little tricky because the jump rings want to move around just a little bit, just enough to sort of get in your way. Just like this. So there we have that. And we're going to have our ear wires hanging right off of that last little set of twins. So you go to your ear wire, and just like your jump rings, you always want to swivel ear wires open to the side. I'm going to slide them right on to that last set of twins and swivel them shut. Now we have this absolutely beautiful pair of chainmail earrings using the Byzantine technique of chainmail. You can go even longer and make a lovely bracelet. Perhaps we'll do some beautiful bracelet projects in the future using chainmail. You're gonna love these silver filled jump rings. And this is just such a gorgeous, gorgeous look that's gonna leave all your friends asking how in the world you did that. If you've ever wondered yourself, well, now you know. All right, folks, that wraps it up. Thanks for watching. Make sure to visit us on over at EurekaCrystalBeads.com for all the materials I used in this video, and we'll link them to you below as well. And hopefully we can satisfy all of your beading and jewelry needs. Bye.